I like to smoke weed.
Is it legal in the UFC now?
Zach,
Yeah.
it's legal?
Weed in the UFC league?
Yeah.
It's legal because of you. Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
That's dope, bro. Hell yeah, man.
Surprise, surprise! The king is back!
Nathan Diaz was born on April 16, 1985, in Stockton, California. Growing up in a tough neighborhood alongside his older brother, Nate Diaz, Nate was introduced early to the realities of street life and adversity.
I'm waking up 6th grade out my window, 12:30 a.m. on a Friday night, and all kind of noise out my window, and all these guys, whoa, and I come outside, and my brother and 20 of the homies from the neighborhood are talking about, we're just at this party, we f*** these dudes at the whole party. We're like, us four were back to back against the wall fighting these motherfuckers. Yeah. And everybody's talking about the whole fight. I'm just like sitting there like, wow, man, I can't wait to fight with you guys somewhere, you know, just right off the bat. I grew up every weekend when somebody was fighting.
Stockton, known for its economic challenges and high crime rates, played a significant role in shaping Nate's gritty personality and unbreakable spirit.
When was your first fight?
Probably like 11 or 12. When I was younger than that, my brother and everybody around me, all him and his friends, they're a little older and they were fighting everybody. When I got in a fight, it was kind of just like, I'm up. My brother kind of was known around town for getting in fights with people. So he was out of school when I got in. He already dropped out. When I got in school, about freshman year, I got into a fight with a kid in class, and we're like after school at the park, motherfucker, and he's like, all right. So when I left class, the whole school's talking about me fighting at the park, and every class, everyone knew about it. So by the time school ended, we walked to the park, and there's fucking 100, 200 people at the park. So I'm already headlining parks in high school.
Headlining park.
Raised by a single mother, Melissa, the Diaz brothers found solace and structure through martial arts, which would later define their lives. Nate's journey into martial arts began at the age of 11 when he joined Nick in training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
When I got to the park, not to mention my brother and the homies heard from back home. So when we got to the park, my brother and all his homeboys that I grew up with were all at the park too. So I'm like, oh, fuck, these guys are here too. So I had to stand up and fight this dude. Nothing big happened. We squabbed each other. Nobody won, nobody lost. When I get home, they're like, cops called, the principal called, you're suspended, this and that. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. My brother's already training. And he's like, what's up? You want to come train with me? I'm about to go right now. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to chill. And he's like, you better get your ass to the gym with that weak ass performance at the park and then do some gi pants at me. All embarrassed. Keep motherfucker. And I got in the car and I went to train with him. So I started training with him every day after that. And then somebody signed us up for a jiu-jitsu competition. We started training every day, fighting outside. So I felt like I got bigger than that. That shit's petty. He started training with the guys. He got me into training with him. And then I learned about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and about how if you were a blue belt, you could take out anybody in the world, any size. And I watched all the Gracie in action tapes, all that stuff. And I was like, wow, I already feel like I could whip everybody's ass. Imagine if I learned this shit. So yeah, that kicked off right there.
The Diaz household had little in terms of financial resources, but the brothers' passion for fighting pushed them to walk miles to train at gyms in Lodi, a neighboring city. Life wasn't easy for the Diaz family. To make ends meet, Nate and Nick often took odd jobs. Their mother worked tirelessly to provide, but money was always tight. Nate at first wasn't quite interested in jiu-jitsu, but ultimately what kept him coming back was that after each training session, the older guys in the class would usually buy him and his brother a burrito from the food truck that pulled up near the gym each night. For Nate and his brother, training would mean they would get to eat that day, as they were usually starving at home. Despite these struggles, they developed a strong sense of discipline and determination, using their circumstances as motivation to succeed in martial arts.
I was about 14, 15. We're sitting in there watching UFC 1, UFC 2, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it was like, that's all it was in.
This early resilience would become a hallmark of Nate's career.
Speak on your big brother and how much he means to you.
My brother Nick is a wild, wild animal.
Is he?
For first and foremost, he's the man, though. He led the way. We had a different relationship than most brothers have. Right then, we always grew up together, basically raising each other with my sister and shit. When he brought me to train with him, I never stopped from that day. what is it? Your fucking mentor, your coach, my fucking guy. I'm his guy. You know what I'm saying? So we have a different relationship than people like brothers just have. You know, I feel like he's a fucking Castamado.
Nate Diaz's entry into professional MMA was as unorthodox as his fighting style. At the age of 19, he found himself training with his brother Nick, who was already making waves in the sport. Through his connections at Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Nate was given the opportunity to take on his first professional fight in 2004 under the WEC. The fight came about unexpectedly when another fighter dropped out, and Nate, eager to prove himself, stepped up on short notice. Nate's first opponent was Alejandro Garcia, and the bout was held at a local venue. Despite his inexperience, Nate's years of training under Nick and his innate toughness shone through. The fight showcased his signature resilience and grappling skills as he secured a victory via triangle choke in the third round. It was a defining moment that marked the beginning of a career built on grit and determination. This victory not only solidified Nate's decision to pursue MMA, but also gained him recognition within the local fight scene.
While I was fighting, I had about 7 fights for the Ultimate Fighter. My brother was in UFC and I was cornering him. I started fighting. I remember I fought in Japan for my second fight against a guy that Nick beat, and I lost a decision. And I was like, my record's already screwed right off the bat. So I was like, well, if I got half and half record, I gotta win 10 more fights so everybody can forget about that one. I trained for a good amount of time. I think I didn't fight for like 7-8 months, and then I fought once, and then I fought again about 2 months later, and then I started doing the math in my head, and I was like, fuck, if I fight every 2 months, I'm gonna be paid. I get to eat and buy whatever I want, and I'm only getting paid like $500 a fight, $700 a fight. That was a lot of money to me at the time, because I used to budget $20 for a week. So I was like, hell yeah, I thought I was getting the system. I'm like, if I just fight every 2 months, I'm good.
After defeating Garcia, he secured victories over more opponents like Tony Juarez and Gilbert Rael, showcasing his improving grappling abilities and relentless fighting style. During this time, Nate trained rigorously under Cesar Gracie, refining his techniques and learning how to adapt to different styles of opponents. These fights on the regional circuit helped him gain invaluable experience and caught the attention of more prominent promotions. This eventually led to his high-profile opportunity against Hermes Franca in 2006 for the WEC Lightweight Championship.
Dana White was hooked in with the WEC where I was fighting all those times. And then they're like, hey, we want you to fight Hermes Franca for the title. And I was like, Hermes Franca? I hadn't been watching Hermes Franca fight in the UFC. And I was actually like, this guy's dope, you know? I was like, all right, cool. And everyone was like, Dana White's gonna be here scouting the card or whatever. So I went in there and I teed off on Hermes Franca, whooped his little ass for a whole round, and then got caught in the armbar.
Despite losing that fight, it was a significant step up in competition and proved that Diaz could hang with top-tier talent.
But Dana White was there and he watched me whoop his ass, and he called. Second I got home, they said they called, they want you on the Ultimate Fighter.
In 2007, after being scouted for his raw talent and growing reputation in the MMA world, Nate Diaz gained mainstream recognition by participating in the Ultimate Fighter 5, a reality TV show produced by the UFC. UFC President Dana White and other decision-makers recognized Nate's potential, partly due to his connection to his older brother Nick, who was already an established MMA fighter.
And I started laughing. I was like, I ain't going to no Ultimate Fighter, because me and my brother already watched the last 4 Ultimate Fighters. We watched the first one and we're like, that shit is ridiculous. We laughed at the show, called us stupid, made fun of the guys. Caesar was like, hey man, I think you should go. You got to go. I'm a soldier, you know, that's the coach. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know. So I go talk to Nick, like, for backup, like, yo, Nick, if was trying to tell me to go to the Ultimate Fighter, I ain't going to that shit. He's like looking at me, and I'm roasting Ultimate Fighter, and he's looking at me up serious. He's like, I think you should go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just clown on this show together. And he's like, look, I'm already established in this fight shit. And he's like, you should go there and get it done.
Nate's gritty style, impressive submissions, and charisma made him a perfect fit for the show. His strong personality and loyalty to his teammates often put him at odds with other fighters in the house, leading to heated exchanges.
I saw it said, Team Pulver, suck it. I'm Team Pulver, you know? So I took it offensive towards me.
Just suck the Team Pulver out your mother. If you got anything to say to me, say it to me, mother. Suck my dick, alright? Whoever said that. That goes to whoever wrote it. I wrote it, alright? You bitch, what? You want to fight in the house? Let's go. Yeah, whoa, not the house, not the house, not the house. Nate, not the house. Yo, Nate, not the house. Suck what? Suck my dick, bitch.
I wrote suck it on the wall.
If somebody writes that shit towards me, I'm fucking socking somebody on sight. I don't give a f.
They all turned into little bitches like it's a game. Ha ha ha, it was a joke. You know, that shit ain't funny to me.
His unfiltered and unapologetic attitude, however, only further solidified his reputation as an uncompromising competitor.
I think they make us look bad, to be honest with you. They shit out there with the thongs and shit. The professional fighters act like it, you know? That's just not how we roll, not where I live. I'm not afraid of anybody in that house, you know? I opened the door to my room and there was silly string all over my bed. My bed was just jacked up. There was piñatas on the bed and there was a note. And I was like, fucking Cole.
Nate just went on a rampage. He was throwing Cole around, picking him up by his underwear.
It was funny, and I'm like, God, it's not funny. Get mad and try to fight me, please. That's what I was hoping for.
I'm actually really excited to see Nate fight. He comes from a family of fighters. His brother, Nate Diaz, has fought in the UFC many times, and he's tough as nails.
I fight because this is just what I like to do, man. This is the best job in the world, I think.
His first fight was against Rob Emerson, which he won by rear naked choke in round 2.
That was a bad fight. That was probably the best fight we've ever had in this fucking show.
His second fight was against Corey Hill, where he secured a triangle choke in round 1.
Oxygen ran out and it was like, hey, give it to him. Well-deserved win for Mr. Diaz.
Diaz, man, he's crafty and he's a warrior. You know what I mean? He's nuts.
After the Corey Hill fight, he had an altercation with Caro Parisian, who made a dismissive comment, leading to a heated argument and brief scuffle.
The thing with Caro is, when he's here, the way he acts towards people, he's not very respectful, you know?
Spanish to the Mexicans. Get back, homie. What? What, motherfucker? Why you looking at me like this? Serious? You're the one looking at me all serious. Drugs ain't funny to me. Oh, it's not? Can you keep your fucking hands up? You wanna?
Where he was grabbing on his head and messing with him and stuff like that. This is not how Nate does it. You don't see us wrestling around and loving on Nate. Giving him this stuff. You don't see me doing that shit to him. He doesn't like it, that's why. He's like, come on, it's cool. I was like, it's cool, then go over there. Get the fuck away from me.
Why are you pacing up like that? You gonna fight me, dude?
He's pacing like he's trying to fight me and stuff. Are you stupid, dude? I swear to God, bro, there is so much stuff I can do to these fucking idiots. Have some respect, dude. Who are you, dude? Do you even know me? Do you know who I am?
Fuck that guy.
In the semifinals, he faced Gray Maynard.
Now, he's in my way.
You know, he's an emotional kid.
I hear people say that all the time, you know? Oh, he's an emotional fighter. I don't even know what the fuck that means. That's the most retarded shit I ever heard.
And won with a guillotine choke in round 2.
It was awesome. I'm rich. Thanks for everything. So proud of you, kid. That was awesome.
In the finale, he fought Manny Gamburian, who injured his shoulder in round 2.
It's all over. He hurt himself. It is all over. His shoulders dislocated.
Giving Diaz the TKO victory and the Ultimate Fighter 5 title.
All right, Nate, congratulations. On behalf of the UFC, you are the lightweight Ultimate Fighter. You get the 6-figure contract with the UFC.
The Ultimate Fighter house sucked, man. I fucking don't recommend it, to be honest with you.
The winner of the Ultimate Fighter 5 competition from Stockton, California, Nate Diaz.
Diaz's victory secured him a UFC contract and marked the beginning of his journey as one of the most polarizing and popular figures in MMA. Diaz's early UFC career featured both highs and lows, but what remained consistent was his fighting spirit. Known for his high-volume striking, slick submissions, and unorthodox style, Diaz carved out a reputation as a fighter who would never back down.
Did it trip you out that everywhere you went, you were a fan favorite? Like, people love you and your brother. Sure. When did you kind of feel like I made it?
Well, the day I won Ultimate Fighter, I thought I made it. I thought I was a millionaire.
That's like
but I had no concept of how much $1 million was or 100,000. I didn't even know what that was.
One of Diaz's most iconic moments came in his 2008 fight against Kurt Pellegrino. After locking in a triangle choke, Diaz celebrated mid-submission by flexing and raising his middle fingers, an act that epitomized his rebellious persona.
You gotta have the middle finger record in the UFC. In the ring.
For sure. I got a lot of records. They don't want to give me no credit for it. I got more fines than anybody. One time I got fined for calling Brian Caraway a word that I'm not supposed to use. And they were like, well, you have to do a public apology. And I think it was Dana White. And I was like, no, I meant it. That fool, fuck that. I'm not apologizing to nobody. And they're like, all right, well then it's a $20,000 fine. I'm like, damn. A month later, I was fighting. The UFC show was there to record me for the countdown. Dad, I'm not doing it. And so Dana White calls me and he's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to do that countdown. Can you please do it for me? Dad, look, if you do the countdown show, you'll get your $20,000 back that they just took from me. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I need $20,000. Yeah, I'm gonna call him right now. He's like, good job, you got your 20 back. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. Like a couple days later, I think the Reebok thing happened. They're like Reebok and all the fighters are going, oh, we're just like other athletes now. This is so great. They were all just kissing ass. I was like, yeah, Reebok. I tweeted the middle finger and I was like, Reebok. Cause I was like, everybody kissing ass, right? Yeah. Then Dana White said, congratulations, kids. You just lost your 20K.
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
like, what the fuck?
While Nate's career saw him alternating between wins and losses, he consistently fought high-caliber opponents. Battles against fighters like Gray Maynard, Joe Stevenson, and Clay Guida were testaments to his durability and skill. However, it was his outspoken nature and raw authenticity that truly set him apart. Nate Diaz's career has been defined by his willingness to take risks and face anyone, anywhere, regardless of weight class.
I always fought the top guys. I fought like 4 fights in UFC, and after that, I fought ranked opponents the whole time.
Yeah, every time.
Then till all the way till now. I didn't want to fight no lames. I want to fight the good people. Yeah. Always.
Diaz frequently shifted between lightweight, 155 pounds, and welterweight, 170 pounds, with his moves often driven by a combination of opportunities and circumstances. Fighting at welterweight allowed him to take short-notice fights without the strain of cutting weight, while lightweight was where he felt most natural and competitive. One reason for his weight class shifts was his desire to fight the best opponents and secure high-profile matchups. For example, his transition to welterweight included bouts against Rory Markham and Marcus Davis, where Diaz's sharp boxing and elite grappling shone brightly. Against Markham, he showcased his striking with a TKO victory, while his guillotine choke submission over Davis demonstrated his world-class Brazilian jiu-jitsu. These performances solidified his ability to compete at higher weights without compromising his effectiveness. In the lightweight division, Diaz achieved some of his most significant victories. His fight against Jim Miller at UFC on Fox 3 remains one of his career highlights, as he became the first fighter to finish Miller using his signature guillotine choke. This win demonstrated Diaz's ability to compete at the highest level in a division filled with elite talent. Other lightweight battles, such as his victories over Donald Cerrone and Takanori Gomi, underscored his versatile skill set and his capacity to thrive in high-stakes fights. The Stockton slap became one of the most iconic moves associated with Nate and his brother Nick.
Look at this Stockton slap.
The move, a deliberate open-handed slap to an opponent's face, symbolized their unorthodox and taunting fighting style. Nate used the slap to remind his opponents and the crowd that he was in control of the fight and wasn't afraid to assert dominance with flair. The origin of the Stockton slap lies in their sparring sessions, where it was often used as a playful but effective way to frustrate training partners. Over time, it evolved into a psychological weapon inside the cage, designed to humiliate opponents and disrupt their rhythm. The Stockton slap became a fan-favorite moment in their fights. Despite his immense popularity among fans, Diaz often faced criticism from UFC management. This friction came to a head when UFC president Dana White famously remarked that Nate, unlike his brother Nick, doesn't move the needle, suggesting that he wasn't a major pay-per-view draw.
Oh, that's cool.
You remember that one?
The kid makes really good money. And the unfortunate part is he's not a needle mover. His brother is a needle mover. If Nate Diaz was a massive needle mover, he'd be on the phone, we'd be figuring it out, and we'd work it out. He doesn't move the needle.
That's cold, Dana.
This statement deeply frustrated Diaz. Nate endured a period where he felt overlooked and undervalued within the UFC. Despite being a consistent fan favorite, Diaz was often frustrated with how the promotion marketed him compared to other fighters.
What was your relationship like with Dana? Like, did you guys ever get on like bad terms at a certain point?
Me and Dana always been real cool though, but you know, he said shit that pissed me off. I said shit that pissed him off. I got fined all kinds of time for it. So he took me gambling, like how I take you guys gambling too, and he dropped me a bunch of money before too. He's always pretty cool when we're just chilling.
He gives these guys $50K at the table or whatever. Like it's nothing.
He did that with another kid to me too, and I'm like, wow. He's like, hey, go cash out. Let's go to the next spot. And I'm like, here, I brought him all this money back. He's like, keep that. I'm like, yes. I was younger, like 22. I was like, fuck yeah.
Nate endured periods of inactivity as he held out for fights and paydays that reflected his worth. During this time, Diaz became vocal about his dissatisfaction with UFC management, criticizing their promotion of more marketable fighters over athletes who had put in years of hard work.
Conor, when Conor came on the scene popping off about whatever, and I seen them all backing him up. And a lot of shit he said was like shit I was thinking and saying the whole time too. I'm like, what the fuck? They don't promote it when I say some shit like that. They tell me to shut up and find me.
He also maintained his willingness to take fights that mattered to him, even if they weren't championship opportunities. At the time, Nate Diaz was vocal about wanting high-profile fights, repeatedly calling out McGregor during interviews and press conferences.
Yeah, Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, mother. I'm gonna fight your. You know what's the real fight? What's the real money fight is me.
This defiant attitude only further endeared him to his fan base. The defining chapter of Nate Diaz's career came in 2016 when he faced UFC superstar Conor McGregor. Originally scheduled to fight Rafael Dos Anjos, McGregor was left without an opponent due to Dos Anjos' injury.
You know, but nobody did. I'm like, you guys all failed. This is gonna be easy money because can't no one do. Watch me get this fight.
Conor McGregor was scheduled to fight lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos March 5th in Vegas until Dos Anjos withdrew from the bout this morning with a foot injury. But the line to fight McGregor, the reigning featherweight champion, is a long one. And joining us now with breaking news, Dana White. All right, Dana, the show will go on. So who is McGregor going to fight?
A lot of guys wanted this fight, but we ended up with Nate Diaz. We felt this was the fight to make and the fight that the fans wanted to see.
This persistence paid off when the UFC approached Diaz with the offer to step in as a replacement opponent for McGregor at UFC 196 with less than 2 weeks' notice. Diaz, always ready for a fight, accepted the bout without hesitation. Despite the short preparation time, he brought his years of experience and his trademark confidence to the Octagon. The fight, held at UFC 196, was a historic moment in MMA history.
It doesn't matter if it's a featherweight, the lightweight, the welterweight, it's the McGregor belt. He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood. But at the same time, he coaches kids jiu-jitsu on a Sunday morning. He makes gun signs with the right hand and animal balloons with the left hand. 10 days out. Let's see what this man is about. I've taken everything he's worked for.
They're like, Gregor only wants to fight you.
I did.
All right, yeah, you did.
I'm looking forward to it, so let's do it. Hey, congratulations. You're rich now.
And they gave me a fuckload of money. You know what I said? I said, I want more of that shit. How about that, motherfucker? They're acting like he's ahead of the game and jumping ahead of the game. Already been there, done that. So it's nothing new to us. He might be fooling all these other people, but we ain't fooled by that. He was doing this thing at the press conference. He's gonna try to bust me out and call me a cholo. But that's the background I come from, you know? It's like hardcore where I live. If he would have came from where I come from, he wouldn't have made it, man. And then as far as teaching jiu-jitsu, yeah, I do seminars. I'm trying to push martial arts out there, inspire people. That's the only thing that kind of might have irritated me. Like, there was no logic. It was kind of uncalled for. It seemed real rehearsed, trying to make a fool of me or something. He ain't working with nobody. He ain't working with no black belts. He ain't had no legitimate sparring. Has no legitimate trainer. Look at this trainer. It's like, this is ridiculous.
I'm going to talk about money because we are the business network. The UFC, all that
I'll take
sort of
over
stuff.
from here, Nate. You can bounce. take a coffee break, Nate. And by coffee break, I mean bring me my coffee.
They want you to give us a quick count to 10, both of you gentlemen, if you don't mind.
Nate can only count to 5.
10.
Now he's at the pop in his cherry and he's going to make his first million here, so he really should be thankful. And I could easily switch you up now and go put you back on that 20 and 20 if you want. But all I want is a thank you, or even a little dance.
You're welcome.
Dance for me, Nate. Dance for me.
You're playing touch butt with that dork in the park.
169 from Mr. Diaz. And his opponent, the undisputed featherweight champion of the world. Give us your thoughts on this fight.
Hey, I'm here to kill or be killed in Stockton, California. This little bitch.
Nate Diaz, ladies and gentlemen.
I've never seen a skinny guy. How can a fat guy be so skinny at the same time? I've never.
I ain't leaving.
What are you gonna do? You'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing.
They're a little cheesy shot on my hand because scared I'm gonna put you to sleep with your gi on.
My socks were worth more than your whole suit you had on, you little bum. I could buy and sell you 100 times over. Quickly snatched it and broke his wrist.
You gotta.
Did you change your approach once it got named Nate for your fight?
The only approach I changed is I dug the grave a little bit wider, a little bit longer for Nate's skinny, fat, long body.
Better hope he gets that knockout, otherwise it's gonna be a up night for him.
And Conor, if you don't get the knockout, is it a up night for you?
He's still conscious when he hits the mat,
I will crush his hips and pass his guard and mount him and strangle him.
Out by two,
I'll strangle him.
How close are you guys to each other right now? Like, could you reach out and swing at each other right now, Conor?
No, he's hiding somewhere. I don't know where the
Come and see what happens.
Yeah, right.
I told you I'll put a hole in your face.
Yeah, right.
You'll be breathing out of your rest of your life.
Yeah, right.
Diaz, a significant underdog, shocked the world by defeating McGregor via rear naked choke in the second round.
Here in the second round, big difference here is the he got him with the good one there. The left, and again with the combination. He's got the choke. Nate Diaz. He's out. He has done it. Nate Diaz beats Conor McGregor and just locks it in deep.
The upset silenced critics, forced Dana White to reassess his earlier comments, and solidified Diaz as a massive draw. This marked a new chapter in Nate's career, where he finally gained the recognition he had long fought for. He capitalized on the moment by delivering one of the most iconic post-fight quotes in MMA history.
Nate Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my brother Nate Diaz, the man, the main man. You're the new king of this motherfucker now, and it's right here, all right?
I took the chance going at 170, but Nate came in. I was inefficient with my energy.
I think I could have done it better with the camp. No shots would have landed. I didn't have no sparring.
Where does this go for your future here?
I don't know, man. Time will tell. Money talks. We'll see what happens.
It was a fight, man. Listen, this thing was what it was. These are two guys that wanted to fight, and everybody saw a fight tonight. This thing right now is breaking every record we've ever had. Pretty much biggest fight ever.
I'm assuming you experienced Red Payday Night because I'm sure you had some pay-per-view points on that. Was that probably the biggest paycheck you got from fighting Conor McGregor when you were in the UFC?
At the time it was, but they were trying to give me pennies for that too. And I'm like, yeah, right. They called me and they were like, hey, why are you do this? We're going to give you $1 million. I was like, hey, you will give me more than that. I knew the game by then. Shit, I might not be educated, but I'm not stupid.
The UFC, seeing the massive financial and promotional success of the first fight, quickly began discussions for a rematch. Both McGregor and Diaz expressed interest, but there were heated negotiations about terms, including the weight class. And ultimately, the fight was booked at 170 pounds. The lead-up to UFC 202 was marked by intense media attention and trash talk between the fighters.
What kind of fighter would I be if I lost a contest at a specific weight? It makes sense for me to have the contest at 170, and I'm going to tee off on him. This time, I'm going to be a lot more prepared for the size and the weight and for the distance also.
Their infamous press conference brawl became a viral moment, with both camps hurling water bottles and insults at each other.
I think it's a little silly, man. Got pictures of me up in his garage and punched me in the face. Like, what the fuck?
Are you able to clear up why you were a little late to the press conference?
I thought it was 1:30. I was told 1:30. Vegas traffic's heavy as well this time of year. I don't know. There must be a McGregor show going on because the place is packed out. I'm here. I'm ready to fight. You know you're going to get a fight when I'm here. Make no mistake, it will be a trilogy fight down the line. It won't be straight away, but we will do it 3 times, 100%. Crackhead essays. You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the f*** out of here. F*** you.
Come on, I'm going back out here. I'm gonna go back out here. Let me talk.
Sorry, guys. See you Saturday.
This incident only heightened the anticipation for their rematch. Unlike the first fight, where Diaz had less than 2 weeks to prepare, he had a full training camp for UFC 202. He focused on improving his cardio and sharpening his striking, knowing McGregor would be better prepared this time around.
I'm gonna kill you and your whole team. You and them. He already dead from the last time. This is a new guy. So killer can't be killed again. USA.
Diaz also emphasized his mental readiness, fully embracing the chaos of the promotion and media frenzy.
He's trying to act up and move like act crazy. Give me crazy. I like I'm where I come from, homeboy. Like everybody's crazy, so you ain't fooling nobody. Try to act up the most you want.
McGregor, determined to avenge his loss, spent months refining his strategy. He focused on improving his stamina and adjusting his striking approach to deal with Diaz's reach, volume, and durability. Their rematch at UFC 202 was equally iconic as the first. Over 5 grueling rounds, both fighters delivered an all-time classic, with McGregor narrowly winning via majority decision.
The winner by majority decision, the notorious McGregor! I'm here with the winner, Conor McGregor. Conor, That was a dog fight. Give us your thoughts.
Surprise, surprise, The king is back. They can't have a motherfucker like me winning. I'm too real for this sport. They're gonna get me out when they can, but it's all good though.
He ran the whole fight.
People have been talking about the fact that you're finally getting paid, you're finally getting your due. Even though you lost tonight, how good does that make you feel to be getting what you believe you've deserved for such a long time?
Still not enough.
Despite the loss, Diaz's stock rose further due to his resilience and ability to push McGregor to the limit, further elevating Nate's reputation and legacy.
You know, when you think that Nate, his 2 fights against Conor were among your biggest pay-per-view ever, and you heard this crowd tonight, it seemed like he was the main event. Do you think that we have another Rousey-McGregor level star with Nate Diaz?
Yeah. Pretty tough to deny. He's a needle mover now.
Your rivalry with Conor was one of the best in the MMA. So much bad blood. When you look back on it, do you think that you two elevated each other?
100%.
Are y'all good now?
I think he's cool, but f him.
If they offered you to fight him again, would you? 100%.
Boxing?
I'm offering them the fight.
Boxing though.
Yeah, either way is fine. I'd like to fight him in MMA. I'd like to fight the guy I'm fighting in MMA.
After his second fight with Conor McGregor at UFC 202, Nate Diaz entered a significant phase of his career marked by both highs and periods of inactivity. Diaz expressed frustration with the UFC over pay and promotion. He felt undervalued despite his contributions to some of the most successful events in UFC history.
Dana White takes heat for underpaying fighters. What are your thoughts on that? And how much, when you first started, when you were doing big fights, how much were you making during that time, if you don't mind sharing that?
I said at the end of the Ultimate Fighter when I went on the show, because they said 6-figure contract. I didn't know what that meant. That sounds like I'm $1 billion, you know what I'm saying? I had no clue what that was. So I won the Ultimate Fighter, and when I got done, I looked at Dana White, and he was talking. I was like, I'm rich, dog. I say it to him on TV.
Oh,
like,
did
it's on
you?
the video, you could see it.
It was awesome.
I'm rich. Like when I went, I'm like, I'm on juice, like I'm rich, like I'm gonna go buy this house right here. I think Dana White, he gets a bad rap, but I'm not giving him a good one, but I'm like, bro, he's paying a lot more people a lot more money than people think. I'm not backing up Dana White on no more money too. Give them motherfuckers some more money. Give me some too. If I go back there, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's paying a lot of people a lot of money, more than the boxing. It's fucking boxing has paid the highest paid fighters a lot more than the UFC has. But the UFC, I think, pays a lot more people a lot of money.
Just overall.
Yeah.
Diaz took a break from fighting, turning down multiple offers, including potential bouts against Tony Ferguson.
I'm not taking the bait, you know? I'm planning on sitting out this year and I'm not fighting nobody. If you guys want me to fight somebody, all you gotta do is call and ask. I haven't had one compliment since I beat Conor McGregor. All I've had was disses. They're trying to pressure me to fight Tony Ferguson. What the fuck? I'm gonna cover for Conor McGregor and do his work while he's out making fucking millions of dollars. I'm not covering for you, bro. You guys fight each other. You guys fight each other, and you guys, the winner could have a crack at me, dude. Conor's a fucking bitch.
This hiatus lasted 3 years, during which Diaz remained vocal about wanting bigger paydays and more respect from the organization. Diaz made a triumphant return at UFC 241 in August 2019, facing former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis in a welterweight bout. Diaz's dominant performance resulted in a unanimous decision victory, showcasing his relentless pressure, volume striking, and elite grappling. The fight re-established him as a top competitor and reignited fan enthusiasm.
Jorge Masvidal had a good last fight. Good last fight. But there ain't no gangsters in this game anymore. So I know my man's a gangster, but he ain't no West Coast gangster. You know what I'm saying?
Later that year, Diaz headlined UFC 244 against Jorge Masvidal for the inaugural BMF title. Despite a competitive fight, a cut above Diaz's eye led to a doctor stoppage, awarding Masvidal the victory via TKO. Diaz, ever defiant, voiced his readiness for a rematch, but it never materialized. Diaz entered another period of sporadic activity, continuing to negotiate for high-profile fights. Although rumors of a trilogy fight with McGregor circulated, no agreement was reached. In June 2021, Diaz faced rising welterweight contender Leon Edwards at UFC 263. While Edwards dominated most of the fight, Diaz nearly pulled off a dramatic comeback in the final round, rocking Edwards with a clean punch and showcasing his trademark resilience. Though Diaz lost via unanimous decision, his ability to create a thrilling moment even in defeat kept fans firmly in his corner. In September 2022, Diaz faced Tony Ferguson at UFC 279 in what became his final fight in the UFC. Originally scheduled to fight Hamza Khamzat Chimaev. Diaz's opponent was changed last minute after Chimaev missed weight.
What was the situation like with your last fight? Like the last minute switch?
Khamzat was scared. He's still scared. He still ain't find nobody yet.
Diaz defeated Ferguson via guillotine choke in the 4th round, ending his UFC tenure on a high note and cementing his legacy as one of the promotion's most iconic figures. Diaz announced his departure from the UFC, focusing on pursuing other combat sports opportunities while leaving the door open for a potential return.
Do you think that another McGregor fight ever happens?
100%.
Following his departure, he explored opportunities in boxing, including a high-profile boxing match against YouTuber Jake Paul in 2023.
You went off and you fought Jake Paul in boxing. Talk me through how that came about.
Yeah, the timing was on for the Jake Paul thing. You know, he was getting into the game and I was getting out. I had been on a mission to get out of the UFC for a good amount of time and make the same type of shit pop like how he's doing. And he came on doing the same thing from a whole other angle. Fortunate enough that there was a dance partner over there making the scene from a whole nother platform, right? He was just a good option.
You already choked out Logan Paul too, right?
I already finished Logan Paul, so I fight Jake.
What happened with that?
What the fuck is the guy out there looking like him for anyway? That's the corniest shit. Around New Orleans, and I walked out of this bar and that whole street was fighting. I didn't even know who was fighting. I was like, oh shit. It was late, 2 a.m. So I started running around to the other side of the street where I saw some of my other homies over there, and I started crossing the street. I'm looking, and then fake Logan Paul runs up in my face. Whoa, back the fuck up, and I grabbed him by his hands. And he pushed into me. Fuck. And when he pushed into me, I had him in a headlock, and then the whole street was going crazy. Like, these fools are gonna fuck me up. So I choked his ass. I was defending myself. Why did he run up on me? So I had to defend myself against this motherfucker.
You just having fun with this one, or do you really want to like fuck Jake Paul up?
He wants to fuck me up, so I'd rather fuck him up. That's my same objective with everybody.
While the fight ended in a decision loss for Diaz, he earned widespread respect for stepping into a new arena and testing his skills in a different combat sport. Diaz has also hinted at continuing his boxing career with an eye on high-profile matchups. In 2024, Diaz faced Jorge Masvidal in a long-anticipated boxing match.
Big fight coming up. Masvidal, thoughts on that? How's training been going? And how does training for straight boxing differ from the rest of your training you've been doing?
More low impact, you know?
Okay.
Because with boxing, one sport to focus on, so a lot less wear and tear.
He's contracted to the UFC. He is not allowed to fight anywhere outside the UFC, and then they allowed him to come out and box. Shout out to Solomon. He came and saw me, and he's like, hey, I want you and Masvidal to box. I was like, he's contracted to the UFC, and they're not going to let him box. They would have never let me box. They didn't let me do shit. They were like, you sit there and wait till we call you. I was like, why are we going to box? I don't want to box Jorge Masvidal. We're fighters, right? Well, I didn't even want to box you. I want to fight you. Masvidal was the biggest name opponent, and he got a win over me. He's the best fighter that's able to fight right now.
The fight was a continuation of their rivalry that began in the UFC's BMF title bout in 2019. Unlike their MMA fight, this match was fought under boxing rules. Diaz emerged victorious. Diaz has expressed interest in starting his own fight promotion, aimed at creating opportunities for up-and-coming fighters and addressing issues like fair pay and respect in the industry.
Everyone knows me everywhere I go. It's popping everywhere I'm at. Motherfucking big-time ass people won't fuck with me. And I'm like, hold up, why am I only getting paid petty? So I started speaking up and spitting on it and then made sure it happen for myself. Black sheep of the whole shit, so. It's all good though. Worked better for me because it's standing out more than everybody else sitting there doing what they told.
And then you start getting what you worth.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
This initiative reflects his long-standing critiques of how fighters are treated within major promotions. In addition to his combat sports ventures, Diaz has become heavily involved in the cannabis industry.
When did cannabis come into your life?
I remember being like as young as I could remember, and my brother was smoking weed with the neighbors. He's 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old. And
smoking it, he was getting it in.
And then when I was about 13, me and my best homie, we started smoking a bunch of weed together. When I was about 14, 15, I started really smoking a lot of weed. I've smoked weed the whole time I've trained, all the way up. And I've cut out weed smoking to pass tests. Like usually I try to do like 10 days, which usually turns to 7 and 4 days. But then I always seem to pass the test. That's why when I fight all these motherfuckers, I'm like, you're all on steroids. How about
weed?
I smoke weed and you do steroids, don't fuck with me. Yeah, it'd be perfect. And I've said that.
A longtime advocate, he has launched his own line of cannabis products, focusing on recovery and wellness.
But they'll fuck with you if they want to. Like they fucked with Nick and suspended him, and he got in all kind of trouble because he was getting too big for their liking and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't falling in line.
All of a sudden he's in trouble. Yeah.
This business aligns with his outspoken stance on the benefits of cannabis for athletes and his desire to normalize its use in sports.
How much weed do you smoke in a week, and does it affect your cardio, your lungs?
It doesn't affect me at all. I need some weed because I like to get high.
I had no problem stopping smoking weed. I could stop smoking weed whenever, but I like to smoke weed.
Is it legal in the UFC now?
Zach, it's legal?
Weed in the UFC legal?
Yeah.
It's legal because of you. Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
That's dope, bro. Hell yeah, man.
Outside the cage, Nate Diaz's personal life mirrors his uncompromising and authentic nature. He remains deeply connected to his roots in Stockton, California, where he and his brother Nick continue to run their academy.
Do you see yourself getting back into the UFC at some point? Obviously, you're boxing right now.
I plan on whipping a bunch of asses out here and making a bunch of money and then going back to the UFC and taking the world title. That's my plan.
You've been a vegan for 18 years? Since 18 years old?
I eat seafood.
Seafood only, yeah.
Yeah, and I eat eggs. Two vegans don't eat eggs, I don't think so. Probably about 80% vegan.
The Diaz Academy serves as a hub for training the next generation of fighters, with a focus on instilling discipline, resilience, and a love for martial arts. Diaz is also a devoted family man. Balancing fatherhood with his career, he has often spoken about how becoming a parent has given him new perspectives and motivations.
So a lot is changing in your personal life since we last saw you fight, namely your daughter. And has being a father now changed the way you approach the fight or just the way you think about the entire game?
I've been a father for years. Fathering all kinds of these little motherfuckers.
Through all his ventures, Diaz's career is defined by his authenticity. Unlike many fighters who adopt personas for publicity, Diaz's brashness and defiance are a genuine reflection of his character. His loyalty to his roots and refusal to conform to traditional norms make him one of the most relatable and respected figures in MMA.
I just plan on fighting forever. That's all I want to do. Well, I mean, as long as I can, forever. And that's my main objective.
Nate Diaz's journey from the streets of Stockton to global superstardom is a testament to resilience and authenticity. Through his fights, he has delivered countless unforgettable moments, embodying the spirit of a warrior who fights not just for glory, but for respect. Whether inside the Octagon or beyond, Diaz's legacy as a trailblazer and icon in mixed martial arts will endure for generations to come.
You guys already know what it is. Real G's come from California, America, motherfucker. Nate Diaz, ladies and gentlemen.